The first taste of rare bourbon you finally got your hands on. That's nice. At Caskers.com, we make this experience easy. Caskers is a one-stop spirit curator with an impressive selection of exclusive, sought-after, rare, and household names in the realm of premium spirits and champagne. Discover the top flavors of the year now by going to Caskers.com and using code WELCOME10 for $10 off your first purchase. Get $10 off your first purchase with code WELCOME10 at Caskers.com.
And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Yeah. This is it. That's Jethro Bovingdon.
He believed.
That's
he believed
Zuckerman.
Told him. Could you believe it?
And welcome to Spike's Car Radio. That is our cold open, our quiet open. How are you guys? Jethro Bovingdon is with us from Top Gear America. Zuckerman's here. He's wearing some sort of Wile E. Coyote bandana. And we're discussing, let's start with Land Rover.
How they fucked you?
The guy who I was talking to, I feel bad because apparently some of our listeners threatened him.
Boo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, but we can't.
Don't be a liar.
We
you want to get threatened, don't lie.
He was trying to help.
He was?
Ben was trying to help. By the way, I think he's the West Coast director of something. He told me his title.
So there's still no resolution to your
There's
issue.
still none. No,
I'm trying to help you, says the car salesman. Listen, I'm trying to help you.
Another $9,000.
I'm going to go back in the manager's office.
Ben
Then they play
is-
around the cards.
Ben is not the issue. Ben is the guy who reached out here. Let me
part
find
of the
out.
system,
Let me see what he
Ferriston.
said. Let's see. Oh, by the way,
But he'll sell you
What's that?
undercoating for $3,000.
I already beat his, by the way, Dean Maroney already beat the guy's price. So he beat Land Rover's price by $1,000 for the stuff that I want. So
And he's not even with Land Rover.
And he's not even with Land Rover. And he's like, I think I'm going to get it cheaper. So it still shows you this Land Rover deal is horrifying.
So what is the kit? Is it the ladders and the
all
the stuff?
All
Okay,
the
here we
stuff.
go. Okay, so Ben, look, listen. If you're listening now, please don't threaten people that we talk about on the show, listeners. This happened with Fireball Tim. You can express a criticism, but I don't want to hear any threats on my
What
behalf.
kind
That's
of a
not
face
nice.
am I making right now?
It's Zuckerman.
I'm not like
Have we not learned anything about insurrection? There's just basic rules that the FCC has about you can't activate people because there's a segment of this population that will go, all right, open up the gun safe and go to work. We don't want that to happen. Ben was trying to help. By the way, he is the let me tell you what he was. I had it right here. His title. No, I've lost it. Oh, yeah. Regional manager.
Oh,
He's the regional manager for Land Rover West Coast. Now, he is still actively trying to help, but here's what's going. This is a Land Rover, not even North America. This is Land Rover. They're the ones being the problem, and Land Rover North America being the problem. These are our friends here on the West Coast that are sympathetic, that are trying to help, but their hands are tied by corporate and the fucking dealer network. That relationship is always screwed. But no, nothing has been resolved except what is going to be a continuing storm of bad PR for Land Rover over, I'll tell you what else. Lots of DMs from people who are in similar situations. I ordered the Explorer pack, and I got a truck with nothing on it. There it is, Jethro. Do you see it?
Have you invited me on as a Brit? Because you think, just like we all know the Queen, we all know the JLR president who can help you out.
This is heartbreaking for me because I love Land Rover, and I have a Series 2A, and I love this truck.
So
But if they don't resolve this, I'm getting rid of it. I'm going to dump it.
What is the Explorer pack? It's all those things on the side.
Snorkels, ladders.
It's an
Decals.
air intake on the side. It's a whole package, but most importantly, it's a roof rack that I can throw my gear on and put the tent on.
Okay.
The goal is roof rack, canoe, tent, either or.
So it's like
camping.
an overlanding thing.
Yeah, and it's really why I bought the truck. And I ordered it that way, and they just delivered it without it. Now, my part in this is I accepted it from the dealer, and their promise in words, not in writing, that this would be resolved.
Oh, you probably signed that little piece of white paper that says nothing due.
I don't really sign it. I don't know. It just came, but I knew there was a good chance that I would be in this situation. But I thought, being who I am and my relationship with Land Rover, they would fix it. They would go, you know what? Get the guy his stupid rack and ladder, because it's not worth the bad PR storm that's coming if they don't.
And
Jethro.
even worse, they've brought out a 520 horsepower V8 one.
Yes. No,
that was a secret until after they sold the first one. We laughed.
That's the kick in the teeth.
I don't feel bad about that because I don't like high horsepower SUVs. I like them to be just fast enough. 400 horsepower is perfect for me. If I want a fast car, I get a fast car. Yeah, do you like that stuff?
I'm not massively into the fast SUVs. Some of them are super impressive, but that might be the first Defender. When I saw the short wheelbase V8, I was like, maybe I could get behind this. This thing looks
pretty cool looking.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think you can do some cool stuff with it. But yeah, I'm not normally into them. I'm not normally super into JLR. I don't know. I've just never got the old Defender thing. It's just not my bag at all.
Yeah, well, might not be my bag either. I might be turning that bag in.
What do you do with the old ones are terrible to drive, aren't they?
It's like an old tractor. Yeah.
They are the worst things.
That's what I love about it, is how bad it is.
It pollutes more standing still.
It's beautiful, but it's beautiful to look at, first and foremost. Secondly, like, to just drive that thing slowly is really a treat. It's like a Mercedes diesel. It's just driving out of sequence, not being able to keep up with anybody, having a rough ride that demands your attention. And it's so trucky and raw.
I'm surprised.
I love them.
I've come around a little bit to the new one. When I first saw it, I did not like the look. I think it's pretty cool now, but I don't get why they didn't do the G-Wagon style reinvention, where it looked like the old one, but just a new one. I don't get why they didn't do that. It doesn't feel like a Defender to me somehow.
Yeah.
Because the G-Wagon is the same thing, right?
Correct.
And the Bronco they're bringing out effectively looks like the old one. So it just seems like there's a tried and tested thing, and they can't build enough G-Wagons,
But don't you think they had to evolve it? I mean, they never stopped making the Defender, so it had looked like it had looked since what? The early 1960s?
Yeah, maybe I don't have the emotional attachment to it, but so many people do. I was just like, why not update it like the G-Wagon, where you almost can't tell until they're next to each other?
Right.
Obviously, it would have to because it's an even older design, but I just figured they would bring out something that looked similar.
Yeah.
But people say great things about it. Do you know what? I've not been anywhere near it. I've not even driven it. So
it's great. You can drive mine.
Opinion.
I'll give you can drive it. You can take it out for a spin. I've had it off-road and on-road. It's amazing. It's heartbreaking that someone from Land Rover doesn't just go send the guy his rack and ladder and sticker for his front hood. I don't even need the raised air intake. So he stops bad-mouthing us.
I don't think
because it's not going to stop.
Ben is just there as a blocking. He's like a dummy blocker, like in football practice. And he's going to tell you, "Oh, I'm trying for you. I'm trying. It's not me, it's them." But like I said last week, they have no problem taking your money and passing it along. They know exactly how the money part works.
Do you know what they did? They added some options that I didn't want to get the price up to where it was with the Explorer pack.
What was this? Can I ask?
I would have to look in the back, but it's high 70s or low 80s. It's somewhere in there.
Right? A lot of money to get screwed.
But what's funny is it's the exact. Here's what I was told: we gave you some new options that you didn't ask for. To make up for the Explorer pack. In other words, we're going to keep the price the same with a bunch of shit you didn't want.
Favors like that or no favors
I'm like,
at all.
what? And I wasn't paying attention, but whatever. I don't know. That's that. Let's do an ad, shall we? COVID spring break is right around the corner. You know what that means, spring break in your pants. That's right, you heard me. Manscaped, our buddies, is here to ensure that the party in your pants never stops. Zuckerman, you like that. Even Veronica Corningstone wouldn't say no to this pants party. Do you know who that is?
No.
I think that's a Anchorman reference. For everyone preparing for a pants party this spring break, I'm going to give you an exclusive 20% off. Use Spike911 at manscaped.com. I would go there and get the Perfect Package 3.0 kit, which comes with the Essential Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof cordless body trimmer and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. Jethro, do you trim your pubic hair?
Daily.
All right. Then you should get some of their crop cleanser, too. We love you, Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Get 20% off free shipping with the code SPIKE911 at manscaped.com. 20% off free shipping. Spike911, manscaped.com. I used their stuff this morning. I know you know, Zuckerman, I have a Sunday routine, but I had that interesting old man moment when I was looking in the mirror this morning and found a giant coil coming out of my ear that I had not missed as long as my wife's blonde hair.
Right. I know. I got
That's
him
a deeply
too.
troubling one.
I got him too.
You got him too. Let's talk Top Gear America, because we have one of the hosts here, Jethro.
The star.
Am I saying it right? Bovingdon.
Bovingdon. Yeah.
I'm
not too fussy about it.
Firstly, congratulations, man, on being asked to the dance and doing this show.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got two wonderful co-hosts.
Yes.
Mr. Cordry has been on several times. I've known him for a while. I've yet to have Dax on, but I'm a big fan. How is it going? Tell us what you can. How many episodes have aired? It's on the Motor Trend app, as I understand it. And what's going on with the show? Take us through all of it.
So we have aired, I believe, I should know all this information off the top of my head, shouldn't I? We've aired 4 or 5 episodes, I think 5. There is 11 in the first season, and we are just about shooting season 2 now. It's on the Motor Trend app. Don't know if it's going to go further than that. At some point, maybe it will. So far, considering it's called Top Gear, and it immediately has people reaching for their, sirens and, oh my God, what are you doing with this name? It's never been the same since the 3 guys are on it and blah, blah, blah. It's done really, really well. People like it. And I think it's interesting for Motor Trend because the Motor Trend app is very much built around Roadkill and the V8 world,
right.
It does a lot of build shows and stuff. And they want to broaden that out. And Top Gear was their big play. So they got the Top Gear name. They've got the whole back catalogue of the UK version of Top Gear. And then they went for this Top Gear America thing. And yeah, like I say, I think we've done it our own way, which has helped. And having Dax and Rob is huge, obviously. And we didn't try and recreate the antagonism and the general vibe that we got with the old one. So we just went with it our own way. We all got on really well. And it's just a lot of fun. It's just arsing around in cars. That's what it is. So I love performance cars, and that's my background, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you're just arsing around in cars and someone's paying you for it and you're with 2 pretty funny guys, it's a good day at work.
Now, when you say it's working, what does that mean for Motor Trend? I would imagine that they're trying to drive subscriptions, right? They want people to come to the app and subscribe and watch all their content, and this is a major little draw for them. But how do they measure that? When they say it's a success, what does that mean?
I mean, I don't get hugely involved because it's not my area of interest, other than I want it to do well because I want it to carry on. But yeah, driving subscriptions, broadening the audience. Dax, as you know, is that giant podcast which has a huge female audience, which is a key driver for Motor Trend as well. So they're expanding the audience that way. And I think making a show that people don't say is complete shite has been a huge appeal for them as well.
Right,
like I say, it's a tough gig and it's intimidating. As soon as you put Top Gear on anything, you open yourself up to a world of criticism and pain.
Right,
so to do something that so far appears to have hit the right spot for a lot of people is pretty satisfying. Like, we're happy about it. We were scared and we're happy now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it started off in the right place, and so is the plan then to now take it to some of the other related platforms that are more linear, like Discoveries and...
I don't know the full play on it. Selfishly, I would sort of love it to go on to Discovery Plus or something like that, but I don't know that. The current plan is just Motor Trend app. Like I say, season 2. So they've done, I think they're doing 6 episodes and they're doing a season break, and then they're doing the second half. But we should be finished the second season filming by middle of May, I think. So that will roll out not too far after. So yeah, it's cool that they went for season 2 before, with all this COVID craziness. They hadn't really seen whether the thing had worked out or not, or whether they'd got something good. But the vibe from BBC in the UK and from Discovery here and from Motor Trend here was that they had something pretty good. So they just went for it. So that's been great.
And the whole thing was shot during the pandemic, right? Even season 1.
It was. Season 1 was shot. So we started off, I think we'd done a couple of episodes, and we were like the last show in Hollywood still filming. And then they called us off. We were in Texas, and they got a decree from above that we had to stop. So I went home to the UK, which was fine. You know, everyone was on lockdown, so it didn't matter. But then it got to the point where they wanted to start filming again, and I was stuck in the UK, and no one's allowed into America from Europe or the UK. So I'm sat at home thinking, what the fuck am I going to do here? Because there's a good chance I could lose the gig, you know, because, you know, simple logistics. They're going to have to, they need to get going on it, and I'm not there. So I did days and weeks of like Googling, where can I go? I was looking at like, you can go to South Korea, and then you have to spend 2 weeks in a government facility. Seriously, I looked up every nation to get into the US.
Were they trying to help you with that? Or they were just said, you're on your own.
No, like you and Land Rover.
Yeah, they were helping, but you know what it's like? It was my ass, so I probably wanted it worse than anyone else. You know,
right. Keep that right up to your mouth there. That mic is dirty.
So,
South Korea.
I looked at South Korea. I looked at Mexico. Mexico was the route that I could have come in. But their BBC are obviously super careful about security and everything.
Yeah.
We just don't think it's the right time to go. And plus, despite the fact you could go there, COVID was on the up.
Right.
So I ended up 2 weeks in Jamaica.
Oh, that ain't bad.
So that was my quarantine.
So BBC flies you to Jamaica.
They flew me.
And was it 2 weeks of quarantine in Jamaica?
It was.
So you're in a hotel room?
Beach.
Or did they let you out?
I will tell you. So it was the last throw of the dice, basically. I thought, this is it, it's over. And then one Saturday morning, I got up early. I was like, I need to find a solution. I had a vague recollection, like 3 months earlier or a month earlier, that I'd been looking around that the Caribbean was going to open up.
Yep.
And literally the day before, Jamaica had opened itself to tourism. So I rang them. I was like, Jamaica's the route. I have to go to Jamaica. They ummed and ahed a bit, and they were like, okay, it looks like the way in. And it was brilliant. I got there, got off the plane. They had COVID tests for everyone who landed, doctors and nurses there. You had to download an app, saying where you'd been.
Right.
You had to upload videos twice a day with special codes to say where you were. But basically, I could stay in the hotel.
Did they have a smokable test for COVID? Smoke this, man. No, you're fine.
But yeah, so it was 2 week quarantine. But I'm not going to pretend it was like sitting in my room miserable. I almost had a hotel to myself, and it had a pool and it had a private beach.
So you were allowed to go out of the hotel to the pool and back.
I could basically be around the hotel.
Right.
So, and I was tested. I think I was tested once when I was out in Jamaica, and then again when I landed. But so basically, I was allowed in, and it was easy. It was great.
And that was it. Yeah. Wow, that's a pretty
nice way in.
That was a pretty
good start. To Top Gear America, and then I came back, and we were just working in this weird world of everyone in masks. And do you know the weirdest thing? It was great. You know, the hosts, we could chat and spend time with each other, but it's so hard to get to know the crew. And it sounds like a little thing, but it's a real big thing.
It is.
Like getting to know them, getting them to trust what you can do in a car, where you want them to be on a track or whatever. And they're just all in masks. Mm-hmm. And even and they're a long way away from you. And it felt really weird. So we're still in that situation now with season 2, but the getting to know you phase was harder. But the job itself was really good fun.
Let me ask you this, because I think I know. I would guess in order of driving abilities that you would be number 1. Dax would be 2, and Cordry would be 3.
Dax is a really good driver.
Yeah.
So Dax has an awful lot of 2 things. One is bravery. He has a lot of bravery, zero imagination, and an awful lot of confidence that he's going to put it on the line.
He breaks bones a lot too, doesn't he? He crashes.
He does a lot of it. He doesn't crash much, but he just had that big motorbike crash.
Yeah.
But he's brave. Like, he's super brave. And he's a really quick driver. I would say, I I would always back myself to have the best car control. But DAX is quick. I bet if we did a lap time comparison, it's not that different. And the great thing is, I think we're probably close enough that when we do lap time comparisons between two cars, even if the gap might not be 100% representative, the order would be right. So if we did a GT3 RS and a Shelby GT350R or whatever, something like that, say the Porsche was quicker, and it would be the right order, even if the gap might be slightly different if we'd have done them ourselves.
When you show up to shoot an episode, is it already scripted out? Have you seen it before? Or are you just laying eyes on it for the first time and going, hey, cool idea, we're going to make this our own and do it ourselves? Like, how does an episode work?
Yeah,
when you show up on a Monday, let's say.
I think that was a big learning curve, because I think the production company probably thought they were going to just hand us episodes and we were all going to go, okay, that sounds cool, and we'll say these words. But firstly, why pay Dax and Rob, two of the best improv guys you're ever going to meet, to regurgitate words that aren't going to be as good as the ones they can come up with? And secondly, I know a lot about cars, and I've done a lot of car videos, and I get it, and I know I'm sort of schooled in the whole Top Gear world. Dax is full of ideas, Rob's full of ideas, so that hasn't really happened. So they will send us a list of, say, 15 episode concepts, and then we'll go through the ones we like, and then we'll refine them, we'll have phone calls, we'll talk about what we want to do, and then generally when we turn up, we know what's happening, but 90% of the time we change stuff on the fly, whatever feels right at the time, which is, I guess, a frustration probably for the production team sometimes, but also they love it because they know if we're bought into it and we're having a good time, it generally translates. So, so we know what's going on. We try and shape it as best we can. There are elements, it's a criticism that you get of these sort of shows, is they're super scripted.
Right.
There are always going to be, you have to plan stuff, You have to have
you've
people,
got to produce
cars. Yeah, you've got to produce it. Like, you have to know certain things.
Right.
But we certainly do not say lines written on a script. And even if they give us a script, it's more of a, we want this point made.
Well, that's, but
for
that's
the
great. That's the way it should be. I mean, now it becomes more authentic, and you guys get to have fun, and that should come across on the screen.
Yeah, and Rob, he's such a funny dude.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's absolutely hilarious. He has me in stitches every time. And Dax is funny, and they can riff for hours. Like, in fact, I think my entire job is to stop those two just doing improv shows for 2 hours at a time, because that's all they do.
Is the whole series shot in Texas?
No, we were just doing an episode in Texas.
I see.
So we ended up doing a lot of season 1 in LA area just because of COVID. Mm-hmm. Season 2, there's going to be more. So we've done, we're doing Montana. I think we're going up to Seattle. We just did Utah. So that we're going to travel around more, but we're still restricted just because of all this crap we're living through, basically.
Yeah. But we're almost done with it.
Interesting. How did you get into driving in the first place? What's your taproot moment? What drags you into this world?
Mine was pure luck, like all these things. So I went to university, did my degree, and all I did was write to Evo magazine, which is a UK mag.
Yeah, I love that.
And I wrote to them and basically asked for work experience. And they, now I know, or soon after I knew, they're useless. Like, their organisation, they're a disaster. They're brilliant creative team, but a disaster at the time in terms of organisation. So I didn't hear anything. And I thought, when I finished my degree, I was like, I'll give it one more bash. So I called them and was like, listen, I need a job now. I need money. I don't need very much, but I just want some money. I'll come and wash cars, do whatever I have to do. And they just happened to need someone. I wrote them a little piece, like a 300-word story. They liked it. I went in and met them. They liked me, and it took forever. Like, I think I met them in September, and I got a job in March. So it took a while. But it was the best because it was when Evo was properly independent. Now it's part of a bigger organisation. But back then it was basically a family sort of vibe. Harry was the boss. Everyone on the staff actually had a piece of the magazine, except the junior people like me. So everyone was bought into it, and they didn't want me to come in and just start working because they were like, well, what do you know? You don't know anything about anything. And they treated the mag like their baby. But that meant for me that I got a genuine apprenticeship in terms of writing. I worked with the sub-editor who was brilliant, a guy called Peter Tomlin, who's like the best writer. And you can give him 4,000 words of crap and he'll give you 2,000 words back of absolute perfection. And you won't see where he took the words out. It's crazy what he can do. So he was brilliant from a writing point of view. And then John Barker and Richard Meaden, who were the co-editors at the time, both fantastic drivers.
What does it mean to have a piece of a magazine? What does that mean? Like, if you own a piece, can you make money on that?
They made money back in the. I mean, that was.
So to own a piece of the mag, you're owning some of the advertising.
Yeah. So Harry started Evo, but everyone on the team, so the designer, publisher, the guy who does all the commercial stuff, and then 2 or 3 of the editorial people, they all had a small slice in the mag, and then they ended up selling it to. They made pretty decent money, I think, and then they sold it to Dennis Publishing, which was a big publisher at the time in the UK. And they made a chunk of cash. I mean, Harry made the most, obviously. Harry's one of those guys who makes money cleaning his teeth. You know, he's just got that ability to find a way. But it was mega, and I look back and I think I'm not sure anyone will get that again, because it was like a magazine when magazines were really, really good and made money.
Right.
And we had budgets to do cool stuff. We had a boss who didn't care about blowing the budget when it was time to drive 3 Ferraris across Europe or whatever. And they taught me how to write, and they sent me on driving courses, and I got to race a little bit. And so it was just this giant learning curve.
What's the most important thing you need to know if you want to be a writer, car writer? Give us some tips.
If you want to be a
junior car writers.
Okay, probably the best thing, start off as rich as possible, because
so
you're not going to make any money whatsoever.
Right. So but I mean, as far as writing, like, you know, I could give advice on how to write a sitcom or a joke or maybe even structure a film or something like that. But as far as someone who wants, because it's a common dream, like our friend Jerry Seinfeld, that was what he wanted to do when he grew up. He wanted to write for Car and Driver, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's all he wanted to do.
He took a much better path.
Yeah.
But he still says, you know, if I weren't into comedy, that's what I would have done. I would have been an automotive writer. What? Give some tips, because people are listening, some younger people who might want to do it. Like, you know, forget about how to accomplish it. How do you write it? Like, give us some writing tips.
I guess the first thing is actually care. You know, give a crap is the biggest thing. That's the number one. I think the second thing is don't believe everything you read from everyone else. I think there's a massive sheep herd mentality with motoring writing where people are terrified to have their own opinion or speak out against norms, and that's why. If I think of someone like BMW, who have gone through really good periods and really bad periods, but if you read the press, they've almost never been bad up to now. People have started changing their mind now, but it's because they built up such a head of steam that everyone was like, "Oh, I can't say that this BMW is not good because they've been good for the past 20 years, so they must still be good."
Run flat tires.
Looks, steering.
Oops.
Exactly. All that stuff. All that stuff.
Right. No, you're right. So you want to write your point of view, and don't be afraid to write your point of view.
But also, everyone's different. So because I love driving cars quickly and on the limit and everything, I want to read people who can do that. So learn how to drive is really important. And it doesn't necessarily mean become a racing driver, but learn to just operate a car. I've been on a million launches, and sometimes you have to share with another journalist. And I have been shocked over the years at how bad a number of journalists are. I mean, and I'm not talking about driving fast, sliding the car, all that stuff. It's just like operate a car smoothly. If you can operate the car smoothly, you can understand what it's trying to tell you. If you are beasting the thing around and punching it in the face, you're not learning anything except how good the stability control is at saving your ass, basically.
Right.
So, get some finesse in there, and then just enjoy it. I love the writing process, actually.
You do?
Yeah. I mean,
this is a common thing with these guys.
Yeah, but otherwise, for people like me, I have to write for a living. I hate it.
I hate
really?
writing. Oh, yeah.
It's brutal for me.
It's horrible.
I hate the first few hours when I'm sat there writing the introduction 50 times and getting it wrong. But when you're in the flow, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, when you get to that point, if you're lucky enough to get to that point.
And because I do less of it now, I'm not on the conveyor belt because I do a lot more TV, video work. When I sit down, I still do stuff for Evo in the UK. And if they say do a 3,000-word story, I recently did one on a Aventador SVJ and a Nismo GTR because they're like last of the line. That was just brilliant. I sat down. It took me a while to get going, but once I was going, I was like, "This is fun." I actually really
so a car
enjoy it.
like both those cars, you don't necessarily just request that you've driven them both. I'm guessing, but you don't have them with you at that time, so you're sort of relying on your memory of what they were like to drive.
No, we got them. Yeah, we got them.
You got them. Yeah, you drove them, and then you could have it.
Yeah, so we did a shoot in London, which was fun, like a night shoot, which are always a pain in the ass, but pretty good fun. But then I drove it, and it was like. This would have been December in the UK. So you can imagine driving a Aventador SVJ and a Nismo GTR in the rain and the snow and God knows what else. But it was great, and I enjoyed that. And
what'd you think of the SVJ? I didn't read your piece.
Let's talk about that. I think it's a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur.
Which dinosaur? Brontosaurus? Tyrannosaurus Rex? It's important.
But I have a lot of time for the Aventador. There's so much that's wrong with it. It's just, and I hate the Lamborghini owner reputation, And I know that. And I guess that's one other thing I'd say about when you write stories. You have to try and put that stuff out of your head.
Yeah, you do.
You have to just judge the car of what it is. Don't care if it fits your image or whatever. Just try and judge the car. And I just think they're sort of joyous, They're over the top, they're stupid, the gearbox is annoying, but there's some magic in that.
Visibility,
there
are problems.
The imperfections.
Yeah, and that engine is mega.
It's fun. It's a fun car.
And I know you guys, you're Porsche guys mostly, aren't you?
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Lamborghini.
Yeah, I just love different flavors of cars. So I hate generic cars, but I love stuff that feels of its own thing.
Character. It has its individual character.
And I love Japanese cars because they're just crazy. They've got their own thing going on. So I think I just think you need to appreciate. I hear a lot of racing drivers when they drive road cars, all they're ever trying to do is turn it into the same car. They want it to do one thing that allows them to go quick. But you should just embrace this total. There's just so many cars out there, and you should embrace how different they all feel, which I think is really important.
Let's take a moment to talk about sleep. Who doesn't love sleep? Zuckerman, do you like to sleep? You look like you didn't sleep.
Never do.
I'm a warm sleeper. I often wake up hot and sweaty. That's because I'm diseased and dying and decaying on a nightly basis. But guess what's slowing down that process? My new favorite bedding brand, My Sheets Rock. Their sheets keep you so cool. What's that?
Diapers.
Sex diapers made from these sheets. You'll sleep better than ever. My Sheet Rock's created the regulator sheets, which are designed specifically to keep hot sleepers cool and cold sleepers comfortable. They regulate temperature, wick moisture, stay breathable, and are so soft you sleep comfortably every night. I've got these, Zuckerman. I've got these sheets. As you know, I get all the stuff and I road test it before I agree to putting it in the show. These sheets are so soft.
Wicking your sweat away.
I wick myself between them.
This is all so awful.
I'm telling you, last night as I was reading Don Wislow's The Cartel.
Good book.
The Border is the follow-up, right?
Yep.
I was reading The Border, and I'm like 400 pages into that. I took a moment just to appreciate My Sheets Rock because they were that soft. I don't think I had been happier all weekend than sitting in the bed reading that book and sitting with these sheets. What are you thinking about right now?
You're ready for the captain hat, the final period in your life.
Listen, they are as soft as a dolphin's body. They really are. Do you remember when I used to get drunk and strangle dolphins in the surf in Malibu? Do you remember that?
I remember you. No, I don't remember.
It was just one thing that happened. I don't know why, but if I drank too much, I'd get some cheese and crackers and go down to the water and lure some dolphins in and then strangle them. I got off on it. Anyways, these sheets are as soft as a dolphin. Okay. And if you don't believe me, the 5-star customer reviews speak for themselves. Plus, you have a 90-day risk-free trial and free shipping and returns. Check out My Sheets Rock, mysheetrocks.com, mysheetsrock.com. Go to /Spike and enter the code for 10% off and free shipping. I really like them. This is a good sponsor show for me. Manscaped and My Sheet Throat. You see my
like
Sunday
Blue
night?
Chew. I want Blue Chew back.
Blue Chew is never coming back. Blue Chew is an erectile dysfunction drug.
Oh my god.
Dick pills.
Gum. I think they have Blue Chew bubble gum.
They
Yes.
said we could say anything, and I said I wanted to put the pills inside my penis, just like penile suppositories, and let the teeth down there chew them up, and they never came back.
Are you surprised by that?
That's a scary image.
They felt the
Scarier
same way.
than the whole image of this person. By the way, Ask Zuckerman will be coming back. You've all been asking. We did enjoy that segment. Someone sent me a few letters. They weren't as good as the ones you found, Zuckerman. So find more Ask Zuckerman letters for us to answer.
I want some commentary. I told Spike that we should get messages that guys direct message on Instagram to hot girls and read these foul, horrible messages on our podcast.
That's not what we're about.
Come on, Ferguson.
I'm not doing that.
We can ask the audience to please respond to this gentleman. We can give
geez, I wonder what they'll say to get me annoyed. It's not happening. Respond all you want. I decide what comes on the show and what doesn't. Dear Zuckerman is a good piece because it's your point of view on these letters that are... I have no idea why people would ask the New York Times this stuff. Didn't you mention another one to me that it was just like... Why would you ever write the New York Times that letter?
Yes, about whether there was one, and it's in the style section, Sunday paper, social cues.
Right.
And there's another one in the magazine, and somebody said, what is more disgusting, burps or farts?
Okay.
The girl wrote in and said, my boyfriend says my burping is more disgusting than my farts. He says the farts are filtered by...
This is the New York Times.
Yes, by his underwear, pants, or the sheets, to which I said to you, then I would tell him to try to take a shit in his pants and French press it through his trousers and see how that works out for him. Farting is obviously more disgusting.
You're so happy in this cesspool. Well, if you see these, they can be anywhere. Any Dear Abby, any Dear whoever letters, send them to us. That I will take, and I will ask Zuckerman next time we do that bit. What else did we do in that show? We did the old real insurance stories with Policy Genius.
Yeah, the
that was
mozzarella
also
truck.
good. We'll do that again. Policy Genius
I
loved
only have
it.
so many of those.
They flipped out. They want us to do that bit.
Send money.
Jethro, do you collect cars? What do you currently own? What do you currently drive? I understand it. You have a 996.
I do. I wouldn't say I collect cars. I have a 72 Citroen DS.
Yes.
Nice.
Super comfy car, like a Barca Lounger front seat, that car.
Yeah, so
and you drove that a million miles, didn't you, when you picked it up?
So it was the first car I ever went in as a kid, basically. My dad brought me home from the hospital in one. He was a big Citroen guy. His dad had an SM, and my dad could never afford one, but he had a DS. So I'd come to a point with a Porsche where I wasn't spending any money on it, which is not where I am now. But anyway, So I was like, I should buy something else. And I was looking at a Skyline R32 GTR.
Right.
And then I thought, I love them, but it's just a 911 in a different shape almost. I'd use it the same way. So I started thinking about a Citroen. And I just logged on to Car and Classic. Do you guys look at that over here? It's a European site, so probably not.
You can get it at the newsstand.
Yeah, it's Car and Classic. It's brilliant. It's got stuff all over Europe that you can look at. And I saw this DS in Greece, and I had a load of air miles, so I flew over to Greece, had a look at it. It looked pretty decent. The guy was a lovely guy. He had like Lambo's E30 M3.
Really?
He had some really cool stuff. And we went out, had a few drinks, had some ouzo, and I thought, yeah, I'll just get this. So I got I drove it from Athens to, what was it called? I can't remember the port town.
Piraeus.
And then, no, it wasn't. It was
Peronis.
And then I got a overnight ferry to the sort of heel of Italy, Brindisi, and then my two brothers and my dad flew in. I picked them up from the airport and then we drove home. Stopped.
No way,
Come on,
the whole
really?
family.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Any trouble on the way?
No trouble. My brother's a mechanic, so I was like, bring like a toolkit. I know you're not going to be able to bring much. And he was like, yeah, I'll bring some stuff. He turned up with like a plastic carrier bag with some tie wraps, a toilet roll, and like a screwdriver. And I was like, okay, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
And did the car break down?
Didn't break once.
It didn't break once.
We tightened up the door mirror. that's it.
That was it.
The one thing.
And what did you guys do? I mean, brothers and a dad. I mean, as a dad, that would
eating,
be
drinking, laughing.
That would be the greatest trip that I could ever take. Is a trip with my 3 boys.
Yeah, it was the best. So Dad loved it and was just happy to be in this car. He hadn't been in a DS for a long time. We stayed. First night we stopped in Maranello because they'd never been to like Ferrari factory and all that stuff. So we stayed opposite the Ferrari factory. Spent a day looking around Maranello, going to Fiorano, looking at the track. Only as like punters, we just look through the fence like everyone else does.
Right. Punters, Zuckerman. Punters.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Is your dad a car geek like you are? Or?
Yeah, Dad. So it's funny. My granddad had cool cars. So he had an SM and stuff like that. But he couldn't give a crap about cars. He was an architect. So he had a few quid and he knew what looked cool. And so like a lot of them, he ended up with Citroens because that's what architects drove.
Right.
Then he moved into some weird, not weird, but he had Silver Shadows, and he had a Cloud 3 that he bought off of, what's his name? Engelbert Humperdinck. It was Engelbert Humperdinck's Cloud 3 that he had.
The Humperdinck special. Humperdinck Zuckerman, yeah.
But
I like that.
Farts.
But my dad loved cars, and he always had cool stuff when I was a kid. He had like Lancia Gamma Coupes, and he had BMW E34 BMW M5.
Oh, wow.
He had a Skyline GTR.
Get me some Blue Chew from my Humperdinck. Yeah. Shut up, Zuckerman.
So that's where it came from. And yeah, we went over the Alps in the DS. We did the whole lot. And so I got that home, no problem. I've got a 996, which is just a basic Carrera.
Right.
Which all of my friends...
it's such a controversial car.
It is.
It's probably the number one question that we're asked about is, should I or should I not get a 996?
Well,
Jethro, what does Jethro say?
Why wouldn't you get one?
They're great,
They're
right?
so cheap. Like, I don't care what anyone says. A 993 is, 3 times the price? Even if you end up doing 2 engine rebuilds on a 996, it's the cheapest way into a 911. They're light, they're narrow, they've got a real good balance between old school and modern technology. You can actually use the bloody things, I think they're mega. I don't get why history is rewritten that they're crap. I know they've had the IMS issue and all that stuff.
That's it.
If you get a good one, they're great.
I think it's the looks. I think it's easy to make it the redheaded stepchild because of the lights and the interior.
No, it's the
And
IMS. It's the IMS, Zuckerman. People don't
understand that.
They worry about driving around a hand grenade that might explode.
But look, there's plenty of... You can overlook a lot of sins in a car with looks. If the car looks good, you'll overlook all of the problems that you can have.
And if you enjoy driving
problems with 993s, 964s, anything.
I miss my GT3. I like my 996 GT3.
You look good in that car.
Yeah, they're good. So mine looks like a GT3, but it isn't. Mine's it's a really early car. It's got an aero kit.
Oh, it does?
But it is actually at the moment having a lot of work done on it. So it's going to...
what?
So when does this podcast come out?
Huh? Next week. Oh, wait, this week. Wednesday.
Oh, my God, it comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're going to put it right up.
So, yeah, I'm having a new engine put in it, basically.
And are you going to do something a little more or just stock?
Yeah, I haven't said this to anyone
yet. No one listens to this.
Oh, we got a scoop.
I haven't
the only people listening are in Nepal.
Everyone's been asking me about this bloody car. It's become like, what are you doing? And I've been umming about it. So, basically, it now has a 991 Carrera S engine in the back. So,
that's a lot of beef.
So it's going to be 400...
a lot of beef and cheese.
And a bit horsepower. So the idea is we end up with 911 turbo, 996 turbo power-ish in a slim Carrera body. It's got...
2-wheel drive.
Wow.
It's got all the good...
Where did you source the engine?
Salvage 991. So we bought...
Somebody wrecked.
We bought a truck had reversed all the way down the side of this 991. I think
and the engine was fine.
Yeah, it only done like 15,000 miles.
Really?
How much surgery to put that engine in?
A shitload.
I bet. I bet.
Like what?
So
not different body panels?
I got a company... So basically I went around the houses with the car. I didn't quite trust anyone to give me the full deal on what was wrong with the car.
No one had really done it, I bet.
Yeah. And then I went to a place called Litchfield. Now, they're a brilliant sort of tuning company that I know in the UK. They do loads of GTRs. They do McLarens and stuff now. But I just trust the guy. He knows what he's doing. If he calls me and tells me it's X, it will be X. No bullshit. He's a real straight down the middle guy. He took the car in, said the engine was basically done. I just happened to be looking on eBay, looking at 991 engines, and they're cheap. Like a 3.4 is like the equivalent of $7,000 or something.
Oh, wow.
And then the 3.8s maybe a bit more, but maybe 12, 15,000. I sent him a few links, and he was like, we should buy a car because it would be like, we need the loom, we need all the stuff. So
the loom.
The wiring is the
Yes,
killer.
the wire, yeah.
The wiring is the killer. So he got a car. A week later, typical Lit Joe just got on it, and then a huge amount of work to fit the engine. They had to build a new panel at the rear. They had to do getting the digital ECU to talk to the analog instruments, and the ABS and all that stuff was massive. It's got different. It's borrowed loads of stuff from the 991. Fuel pumps, etc., because it's direct injection now. Power steering. It's still got the hydraulic steering, but it's got an electric steering pump from the 991 now. So it's been. He did it actually because he thought it could be a good thing to do. Start building real badass 996 and 997
so this was
hot rods.
This was a first for him too.
Yeah, it was the first for him, and it was a business. He thought this could be really.
Let's hope he has a low hourly.
This is
just the things you mentioned from some of our mechanics.
Would a 997 have been an easier option?
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same. But he now thinks it will be unique because he was like, it's so much work.
Yeah.
And he said it's just going to get into the realms of crazy money. So I'm going to end up with a 400 plus horsepower 996 with KW adjustable suspension and, rose jointed. The full works. It's going to be cool.
You're going to have the real sleeper. This is This thing sounds fantastic.
I think it's going to be. I'm extremely excited about what it could end up like. I think it's going to be mega. And it's funny, I drive all the cool stuff, GT2 RSs, all that, and everyone always says to me, how'd you get back into your car? Like, it's a total piece of crap, And I'm like, it's still a 911. It still does what 911s do, and it always had good suspension and stuff on it anyway. But now it's going to have serious power to weight ratio, all the really good suspension. I think it's going to be like a sort of homebrew GT3 RS. So
plus, it's yours. Excited. It's your car. It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. Just because you have access to these cars, they never feel like yours.
Yeah.
And you drive them, and they're great for the week, and then you kind of forget about them. But your car is always there for you.
Yeah, and I don't know
it's
about
a different
you guys.
thing.
I don't know where your sweet spot is in terms of eras, but I sort of think early 2000s is where it's at, because the cars were super quick and really good fun, but not too much grip, not too much craziness. You can drive them, and you have to understand that. I drive over here too, like Angeles Crest. Like, you can do 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's no one up there. It goes on for 1,000 miles or whatever it is. In the UK, we have smaller, bumpier roads. You're catching enjoyment in between places rather than doing like 80 miles straight with no traffic.
Right.
And there, something like, I don't know, a 720S or whatever. I love it to death.
Much.
But fucking hell. I mean, you are going so fast, and you're causing so much potential. You're drawing so much potential disastrous attention to yourself.
Right. Are there people losing their licenses in cars in England? I mean, I know
here it's much stricter.
The speed cameras that you can just get nailed 10 times on a single drive,
speed camera
right?
thing. I think it's over-exaggerated. People are deeply paranoid. Do you know they've done a great PR job, the police and the local authorities, in making you believe there's a speed camera every 20 seconds.
I see.
Most of them are either not there, or they're not turned on, or they're all painted bright yellow in the UK. Like, they have to be.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're stuck in Australia. They put them in like trash cans and by the side of the road. They're big, giant boxes painted bright yellow. So
you can mark them on Waze, and then once you open your app, they're all marked, and you'll be warned.
You do have to be careful.
You do.
What about secondary small roads? Do they have them on there too?
Not really.
No.
The problem is, and again, it's hard. Have you been to the UK?
Yeah.
The scale is so different. You live in a vast country with not many people in huge parts of it, right?
Right.
So there's just too many people in the UK to get away with that stuff, which is why the magazines and people like me always end up going to like North Wales or Scotland or somewhere where you're just away from the population. And Scotland is, you should go and drive around Scotland.
We've heard the roads are amazing.
Beautiful place. The roads are amazing. And it's
you
just
get knifed. Huh? You'd get knifed.
Why would I get knifed?
They like to knife people in Glasgow,
I'm an Irish
right?
citizen. They like the Irish. I will have my Irish
They're going to knife you.
passport.
They're going to spill your claret.
Why would the Scottish knife you? What are you talking
Do
about?
they knife people in Scotland?
I mean, they're angry people. And they're often very, very drunk.
Yes, and I had a guy say, "I'm
like
going to spill
Irish.
your
That's
claret."
like us.
I'm going to spill your
They're
claret.
angrier than the Irish, definitely.
The Scottish are?
Oh,
I would
yes.
say, yeah, the Irish are so
Jolly.
They're happy. They're happy
We're a
drunks.
happy drunk lot. Yes.
You're a happy drunk bunch.
They cut you. Spill your claret, Spike. Okay, so,
but you should go. You should go
The
to Scotland.
Scottish.
It's great.
They steal my claret.
yes, you know what claret is? That's
Yes.
red wine there, and that's
But
what
I've
I heard
never
a Scottish
been-
guy said. I cut him and spilled his claret. I said, really?
But-
That's how he said it. So matter of fact, it was.
Well, just cut the guy open.
Yes.
It's a Saturday
I think
night
most of
in
us just
Glasgow.
think about dresses and kilts when we think about the Scottish. Not that they're going to take out a penknife and cut us when we visit. We think about Scotch and golf courses and now nice roads to drive on.
they're great
But what
people.
you're saying is
There's a little violent element there that I've heard quite a bit about.
beware the Scottish because they will cut you.
They will cut you. And it is true.
That's what you're proposing,
I mean, they're more
Zachary.
famous for headbutting than actually knifing. I
Really?
think it's probably a fairer reflection.
Where did you hear this?
Ferriston, I keep up with the news.
It's
Didn't
in
you
the
ever
nu-
read
it's
Among
in
the
news?
Thugs with Bill Buford? Didn't you ever read about any of these hooligans?
Yeah, Among
And
the
then
Thugs, but that was mostly his people in England.
Well, yeah, but
I
the
witnessed that
Scottish. The
firsthand.
Scottish are known that Glasgow or some of the cities are very tough, and fighting is very
Glasgow's a tough place.
Yeah.
yes.
They will
See,
cut you.
I will cut you and spill your claret.
Come
Spike.
to Scotland.
Okay, and I
We'll
get
cut
what you're
you.
saying about the 996. I think that there is a golden age of cars that occurred maybe between the late 90s and up until a few years ago.
Yeah, 2010 maybe, something.
And the early ones that are starting to get more power but don't have as many nannies
It's
on
the AIDS,
them.
yeah.
And I can tell you, we have all the cars you see in this garage, but there's times we get I get in the 82 Targa SC that we own together, and it's so Porsche,
Yeah.
if that's a word.
Yeah.
It's got so much lightness and eagerness and everything you want in a 911. Is it the ultimate package? Not at all. But that's what's great about it.
Yeah, and I get my enjoyment not going fast is exciting. Everyone knows that. Like, how could it not be? But the thrill for me is driving the car at the limit of what it can do and what
Right.
you can do. So if the limits are a bit low, I'm not one of those people who thinks a Miata is all the car you need. I think that's bullshit. But if if the limits are a little bit lower, if they're still quick enough to feel exciting and you're still moving quickly,
Right.
but you can move the car around the way you want it to move around at the limit. That's the dream, really. And now you're getting to the point with like GT2 RS. I love that car. It's mega on the track. I couldn't believe how fluid and adjustable it is for a 700 horsepower 911. But moving that thing around on the road, you're bending time, you know?
Yeah.
And when you have a crash, it's going to be a real big one.
Yeah.
It's like you put on your Tony Stark Transformer suit
Yeah.
or something, your Captain America in the car. It takes you to it's too much.
It's a lot. And I just drove the 765 LT recently in the UK. Again, love it to death. The thing is a spaceship.
Yeah, it's blindingly
it's
fast.
Unbelievable that someone can go and just buy that car who's 18 years old and got a few quid, or even 35-year-old and just made it, and they've never driven anything quick before, and they get in that car. It's a different world.
What are the stats on that car?
Oh God, I'm not so.
You
good
must
on the
be
stats.
low
We need-
twos
we
then
need-
if it's a
we need
different
Johnny.
world, right?
Yeah, it's 760 PS, isn't it? So 751 horsepower, mid twos to 60.
Yeesh.
But it's the speed to like.
Yeah.
It's between say
50 and
65 and 140 or something. You know,
Yeah,
the
just
thing, and it sounds so irresponsible to suggest you would do 140.
Yeah.
You're doing it so quick.
Yeah, it's
you don't-
immediate.
You know, you're there so quick. I
Yeah.
mean, fortunately, the car has amazing qualities even at lower speed. But
Right.
if you get stuck into it, you're basically.
Do you have a
breaking
favorite brand? when you think of one?
I would say, I mean, I've always been a Porsche guy. Ever since I first had a go in a 996, actually. I didn't really get them when I used to read mags and they wanted for a test. Drove a 996 and was like, yeah, this is the thing. And I love Porsche, but do you know what? I think Instagram is killing Porsche.
How so?
Because everything is Porsche on Instagram. You know, and you get to the point, I'm like, I don't want to see any more fucking PTS 911s.
Right.
Isn't that just who you follow? I mean, everything is on mine because I follow all the Porsche guys.
Yeah, it is, but it's almost become so dominant amongst enthusiasts that if you like any other car that isn't a Porsche, you're an idiot. And it's really funny.
I don't disagree with that.
I think before the internet, Porsche was almost like,
this is good news.
It was almost like a
little
club.
Underground.
It was like a club that people who knew because they'd driven them, they appreciated the engineering, they knew it, and then and Ferrari, everyone really loved Ferraris. Yeah, everyone really loved Lambos and all that stuff. And now it's like it's flipped on its head.
Yeah.
And so the prevailing love is just Porsche. And I love Porsches, but I get so sick of seeing it. There's so many of them.
Yes.
They're just,
isn't it great?
I don't know. It is
Shouldn't
great.
they be in everyone's driveway?
They are
yes.
great, and I shouldn't care. But somehow there's something about me that's like, God,
no, I don't think there's enough.
Yeah, you have a little defiance. You don't want to be with the crowd.
I don't know what it is. But
I'm with you on the paint to sample crap. Like I could care less about that stuff anymore.
Everybody got it. It's not special.
Yes.
What's the most? These cars are so wonderful and so relatable. And you know what I think is happening? I think you're right about it, but here's my take on it. Okay, 20 years ago. Back when Jerry and I was working on Seinfeld with Jerry, and he was showing me these cars. I'm like, "What's a '73 RS? That car right over there."
Yeah.
These were considered the height of luxury next to Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
Now, today, as we sit here, they're not the most expensive cars anymore. You've got these Paganis and these other hypercars, the Bugatti Chiron Sport, pure sport, 4-5 million. You know what I mean? And suddenly, these cars are kind of normal and not. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're more approachable, and the more
attainable.
sensitive buyers get in them, and they don't worry about stepping out of them anymore. And people going, screw you, you jerky rich guy dentist. You know what I mean? It's just hey, that's a nice car. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I think that's made the car more approachable for a lot of people. Whereas it used to be like, oh, a Porsche. Now it's like, a Porsche.
Yeah, But I mean. People love them, and I get it. Like, I love the GT cars. I love what they've done with them. I think they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I want them to stop. Like, they need to stop making the car bigger.
Right.
But I guess they're my favorite. I know it's, again, an incredibly unpopular internet opinion, but I love what McLaren are doing. Yeah. I know they bring out too many cars. I know that owners get upset about the derivatives and stuff. They build some really good stuff.
Yeah,
the 765 LT is completely nuts. The 720S as an all-rounder it's
an amazing car. It is an amazing car. Yeah,
and I'm excited about the Artura. I think it's intriguing, that wide-angle V6 and the hybrid and stuff. I mean, I wish it wasn't a hybrid like everyone. I wish we could live in this little bubble where everyone has 9,000 RPM cars. But it's pretty impressive. I think it's a shame it doesn't look different.
Right.
What do you think is the most overrated car company or
the most
car?
Overrated
Yeah,
car
what do you
company?
think is just shit besides... Yeah, give us some dirt.
What do you think is the worst?
That's quite tough because there's a lot of good stuff.
Lego, they're terrible with their cars.
You know what? It's really hard because I would say that BMW have lost the plot.
Oof.
Really?
I would say that, but then you drive an M2 CS.
Right.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
I hear that car is amazing.
Spot.
It is absolutely brilliant. And then you drive the current M5 Comp. It's a little bit stiff, but it's a brilliant car. So I think BMW are patchy. They've become like the patchiest. They make some really, really outrageously good stuff, and they make some absolute crap. I don't know what the most overrated is, though.
I saw a beautiful Kia on the way here that had like a non-metallic gray color, like one of our Porsches, Zuckerman. I'm like, what is that? Is that an Audi four-door sedan? And I pull up next to it. It's got a big Kia badge on it. I went, huh.
The newest BMW I own is a 2011 1M. I think
a 1M, yeah.
Yeah. That really checks a box.
You like
After
it,
that, nah.
Have you tried? You guys should try an M2 CS.
Yeah.
It's
I've
really
got
good.
I've got it requested. It's happening.
Lieberman said that was
I had
terrific.
the M4 on the track at the Thermal Club, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a bunch of stuff out there, and I just kept driving that BMW, and I took it on the drift track, and it just felt great.
What do you think of the new nose, the M4? Yeah.
They went out.
Like I've noticed with any of these exterior designs, I can go two ways. Exterior styling for me is probably the biggest entry point for me in a car. Like when I see something and I desire it, that's my entry point. But lately, if it drives well, then I can forgive the way it looks. Yeah, kind of like the Defender a little bit. Yeah, and I can't think of something. Oh, then the 992. Like I really didn't like the rear end of the 992, but I love this 911. I love it a lot, and the driving kind of informed. Like I'll forgive that piece of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So yeah, I agree. It's just abhorrent to look at.
I'm hearing
but
the M4 and M3. So my colleagues in the UK have started to drive it. So I've texted a few of them, and I'm hearing mostly good things.
Yeah,
which is good because I was a bit worried about it.
Well,
but,
that nose is just so hard to take.
Yeah, and it's so heavy. The thing now, it's like 1,750 kilos, which I don't know what that is in pounds.
4,000
pounds. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot for an
Big
M3,
boy. Big boy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, our time is up.
Already?
Yeah, we had a good time. Jethro, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
We got to have you back when your boyfriend, Johnny Lieberman, is around.
Yes.
You guys are besties.
We'll have to do one together. That sounds good.
He loves you, and thank you, Johnny Lieberman, for getting Jethro to come in.
We could do a foursome up at the house.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that soon. The show is Top Gear America. It's taking the Motor Trend app by storm.
The world.
You can, you can get it on your Apple TV. You can get the Motor Trend app. You watch it right on your big screen. You can get it on your internet television. You can watch it on your phone or iPad. You got to get it. It's about the price of a cup of coffee at Alfred's here in Venice. Just one cup of coffee, and you can get the Motor Trend app for the entire month. Right? It's like $5.99. Yep. It's worth it. There are a lot of great shows. Not only is the new Top Gear there, the old Top Gear is there, and then a bunch of other great stuff. Jethro, thank you for coming in. Follow you on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, just my name. I don't have many.
Do you ever respond to people?
There aren't many Jethro Bovingdons in the world, so just follow me. I do. I try and respond as much as I can. I'm not good at the DMs on Instagram. I always forget that they're there, but I will do my best.
There's a wicked virus there right now. It seems like I'm getting 20 or 30 weird group texts with a bomb.tl thing. It's not the bot, Zuckerman. Those are fun. It's this... Yeah, because you can write horrible things like "send me your credit card number back" and the bot will respond. But have you been getting this one where it's like 20 a day of just hit this link, http bomb.
I'm not hitting that link.
Yeah, and it's all car guys, and it's what is that?
Car guys and girls. I don't know what it is,
but it's not like there's one or two. It's becoming a very big.
Yes, I'm getting about 20 a day.
Right.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I stay away from it. So, but yeah, I will respond to people who aren't.
Good.
Weird group stuff.
Say hi to Cordry. Say hi to Dax. Zuckerman, anything to add for you?
Nope.
Send him some Dear Abby letters so we can do another Dear Zuckerman. You can follow me on Spike's Car Radio Podcast. You want to follow us and review us there. Most importantly, you can get in touch with me on Instagram. DM me there, and I will write something horrible back to you. And that's our show for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.